They are the king and queen of Italian wine, and both from the same region. Have you guessed which wines I'm talking about? If you guessed Barolo and Barbaresco from the Langhe, then you were right. Hi there, I'm Jacqueline from Our Glass of Wine, and living here in the Langhe in Piedmont, Italy, I've been really lucky to get to taste a lot of Barolos and Barbarescos. They are both outstanding wines, but the question is, what is truly the difference between them? So let's explore the differences together. But these are big, important wines. I think I might need some help. I can't do this alone. Hold on one second. All right, that's better. Let's split up. You go to Barolo and tell me all about those wines, and you go to Barbaresco and learn what you can about that wine. And report back here with your findings. Don't forget, bring back the goods. All right, you guys all set and ready to share what you've learned about Barolo and Barbaresco wines? Then let's get started. Let's start with the basics. What grapes are used to make Barolo and Barbaresco?
100% Nebbiolo. Jinx!
So at the core, the wines are made from the same grape. But what about the history of the denominations? When were the first Barolos and Barbarescos made?
Well, Nebbiolo has been used since the early 1800s, but it was often made sweet and sparkling. It wasn't until the mid-1800s that we see the first dry Barolo come to market. Wow, that's even earlier than Barbaresco, where the first mention of Barbaresco being made and called that isn't until 1894.
Wow, and what about the denominations? When did the wines first become prestigious DOCGs, or Denominazione di Origine Controllata e Garantita?
Barolo was named a DOC wine in 1966 and promoted to DOCG status in 1980. Same here. Barbaresco became a DOC in 1966 and a DOCG in 1980.
Seems like Barbaresco's caught up in the end then. But what about where these wines are made? Did you guys learn anything about the places behind the wine?
Barolo can actually be made across 11 comune or village areas. Barolo, Serralunga d'Alba, Castiglione Faletto, La Morra, Monforte d'Alba, Verduno, Novello, Grenzana e Cavour, Diano d'Alba, Cherasco, and Roddi. Across all of these comune, there are 181 individual vineyards that have been recognized as MGAs, translated to additional geographic mentions, or CRUs. Barbaresco is made of a much smaller area than Barolo, with only 4 comune: Barbaresco, Neve, Treso, and San Rocco Seno Delvio, which is actually a part of the city of Alba. These 4 villages will account for 66 distinct MGAs or CRUs. I'd also like to add that I have been to so many of the different Barolo villages today, and they are all just so beautiful. It is not hard at all to understand why the Langhe is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Totally, absolutely beautiful areas.
Those sure are beautiful places. Let's talk about aging for a moment. How long are Barolos and Barbarescos required by law to be aged?
Barolos have to be aged for a minimum of 38 total months, with at least 18 of those months being spent in wood. If a winemaker wants to make a Barolo Riserva, this minimum aging gets bumped up to 62 months. So basically, in short, a Barolo must be aged for at least 3 years and a Barolo Riserva 5 years. Wow, that is a long time. Barbaresco must legally be aged for a minimum of 26 months, with at least 9 months being aging under wood. The Barbaresco Riserva needs a minimum of 50 months of aging. This means basically a Barbaresco is aged for at least 2 years and a Barbaresco Riserva at least 4 years.
That is such a long time to wait to taste such good wines. But I was just looking at a map, and I see that the villages of Barolo and Barbaresco are really only 24 kilometers or 15 miles apart as the crow flies. Is there a lot of difference in the growing conditions between the two, like soils or microclimates?
Definitely yes. You see, millions of years ago, this entire Langhe area was under the sea, and when it drained away, the Barolo area came out much sooner than the Barbaresco area. Absolutely. So the soils here in the Barbaresco area are ever so slightly younger than the Barolo area, and this means that they are a little bit sandier and overall less compacted than the clay soil of Barolo. The Barbaresco vineyards are also located at a slightly lower elevation than the Barolo ones. Barolo is really lucky because we're kind of tucked back from the Terroir River and we have a little bit warmer temperature, but overall, because this is a larger widespread and a little bit hillier area, our villages can be very different from one another in terms of not only soil, but also the microclimates of the different zones. Yeah, so the Barolo and Barbaresco areas are very similar in terms of the diurnal fluctuations that can happen, but I also feel like over here by Barbaresco, thanks to the proximity of the Terroir River, it's a little bit breezier and there are more autumn mists that the Nebbiolo really likes during its maturation.
So close, yet so different. Looking at the two wines in terms of objective data, how much Barolo and how much Barbaresco is produced annually? Do we have any data on that?
Well, in 2020, the Italian Statistic Institution reported that there were over 9.7 million liters of Barolo made, and these were valued at 60.5 million euros. Oh my gosh, that is a lot of wine. In the same report, Barbaresco came in at 3 million liters produced for a value of 14 million euros.
That's a lot of wine. And what about the folks outside of Italy? Is it possible for them to get a taste of Barolo and Barbaresco, or do they have to come here to the Langhe?
Absolutely. Actually, most Barolo is exported, and an estimated 85% of production finds its way outside of Italy. Barbaresco, too. 75% of Barbaresco wines find their way outside of Italy and to places like the USA and Germany.
All right, I think that was all the questions I could think of. So come on back and make sure you have the wines. What amazing differences between those wines, and I cannot wait to taste them side by side to really compare and contrast. But that is a video for another day. So be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when we get to taste this king and queen side by side. Thank you for joining me and me and me today, and I hope you learned as much as we did. If you did, then please leave a like down below. I'll see you with the next hourglass of wine. Bye!